That started by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Chair.
Yes, that's fine. Okay, well, welcome everybody to this belated start. So I think it's fairly straightforward on the agenda today, so hopefully we won't be too long. So starting going through the agenda, one, apologies, we've got Claire Moore, who was unfortunately unable to attend. The second item...
Chair, we also have Councillor Beverly Bynum.
Yeah.
Oh, right, thank you. Okay, and moving on to the minutes. I assume everybody will have read the minutes. Is there anything anybody wants to raise?
Can I propose that them to be an accurate record from my recollection?
That's very good of you. Thank you, Councillor William. Anybody else? Nigel, second.
Seconded.
Okay. Right, are there any declarations of interest? No. No. Okay, excellent. And over to you, Clive.
Chair, thank you. Members, in the supplementary pack, you will have my report. Apologies to members for the late delivery of this report, and apologies for an unusual discrepancy in the pagination. So members will see that numbered page 1 on the agenda bundle is actually page 3 on the PDF version. We don't know why that's happened, so apologies. Chair, so Section A of my report, your members will be glad to see that all councillors and company members have now completed their refresher mandatory training. So that's satisfactory. Members will also see from Section B that the one member that has been in attendance below the 60% required for the period between the 18th of May 23 and the 15th of May 24 has provided reasons as to why for the non-attendance, and the decision really is for members to indicate whether or not they accept the explanation given by that member.
Yes, I do.
Chair, I think that's a reasonable explanation.
Okay. Anybody else want to make an observation? No, it seems a reasonable explanation, as I said, and I'd be quite happy to accept his explanation.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Chair. We're then on to the complaints made to the Ombudsman about code of conduct matters. Members will see the current status of all the matters which are outstanding for the County Council members. Members will also see in Appendix 1 to the pack the outcome of the complaint made against Councillor Ian McIntosh. Chair, you'll also see from the last paragraph of that section C of the report that on the last occasion, members of the Standards Committee resolved to ask the Chair to write to the Ombudsman about the length of time taken to complete investigations into code of conduct complaints, and members will see that the letter from the Chair is found on pages 5 of big page 5 of the bundle, or page 7 of the PDF, and the response from the Ombudsman is on page 10 of the bundle and page 12 of the PDF. If members go to page 10, they will see that the Ombudsman has indicated that they are trying to maintain their target of completing most investigations within 12 months, and to that extent, during 23-24, they doubled the size of their staffing from 4 to 8, and they intend to try and keep to their target. But members also see from the second paragraph on page 11 that there was an offer to discuss with the Standards Committee, the possible support that could be given to members who have been waiting a long time. So and I think that's an issue which Standards might want to consider. Chair, Jonathan's got his hand up.
Hi, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wish to place on record my appreciation of you writing to the Ombudsman in regard to this matter. And I appreciate the Ombudsman's response, in particular the expansion, the doubling of the team at their end. So I'm conscious that I raised the issue of delays myself, and I just wish to place on record my thanks to you for securing this comprehensive response. And I welcome further improvements in the Ombudsman, time taken by the Ombudsman to resolve matters. That is not wholly yet established. And I refer to case 03CC stroke 22 on Clive's grid, but I look forward to further improvements.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for your very kind remarks. And I would echo that about some of those current investigations are still some time, but on the other hand, the measures that she's put in place will take quite some time to bear fruition, I think. So I think we'll just monitor it and see how it goes. Okay. Anybody else want to make any observations?
Councillor Ian's got his hand up, Chair.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I know I'm probably not allowed to speak about the case that's been made against me, but what I would say from my experience of that, I was waiting 3 years for this to be resolved, well, almost 3 years for it to be resolved. And when you're told that you must not speak about this with anybody else, and this is just constantly eating away at you day after day after day after day, particularly in a circumstance where you feel that a complaint is made unjustifiably against you, it does take its toll. And I really do think that the Ombudsman needs to be pressurised into supporting members who have been reported, whether they are guilty or not, particularly if it's going to take that long, because ultimately if they've, even if they double their staff again, I can still see the majority of cases certainly taking over 1 year, let alone 3 years. And I think that, no, I mean, I've got a pretty thick skin, but if there's new councillors come in who experience this, it's going to take its toll on somebody one of these days. Thank you.
Chair, I think the Ombudsman sort of acknowledges that some additional support could be provided, and if it's agreed with members, what I would suggest is that I raise this with monitoring officers in Wales, because at every meeting we have 4 quarterly meetings of monitoring officers, and representative from the Ombudsman's office does attend each one of those. So I'll raise the issue of support in those meetings and see if we can do something on a national level, if members think that's the appropriate.
Thank you.
To me, that sounds a good way of approaching matters on a national basis. Does anybody else want to make any?
Chair, with Councillor William and Jonathan again.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just sort of concur with the comments that Councillor Ian made there, sort of generically about the pressures and difficulties and the well-being dangers associated with this situation of effectively kind of being on remand and awaiting clarity, and this climate of being also unable to share the burden of the accusation or whatever. And sometimes in a situation where it's councillor on councillor, you've got that duplicated, because you've got the accuser and the accused, and they can both be subject to this in different ways. Obviously, if you've got an institution and an individual, it falls more on the individual. And I was recently in attendance at the One Voice Wales conference, which was addressed by Michelle, the Ombudsman, and she took questions from members, and it was quite a levelling experience in that sense, because she was able to give some account of herself. She was also quite candid about recent problems in her own office regarding the one of a member of staff leaving because of particular issues that had arisen, and also reflected on the very increased workload that comes from the disputatious nature of the occupation that some of us are involved in, and the level of referral and counter-referral and so on. So there's a number of aspects here, but I certainly think that we do need to try to identify means of support, whether or not the office of the Ombudsman is resourced or indeed in otherwise appropriate to offer such support. I'm not so clear, but the need for such support seems to me to be absolutely evident, and there's always a danger that things could turn in a very unpleasant or unfortunate direction if somebody was less robust maybe than the average in this respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor William, and I concur with your views there. On to Jonathan.
Very briefly, because I agree with the comments made by Councillor William, the mental well-being of councillors is a matter of some concern, I think, nationally, and that a welcome inviting the Ombudsman to consider an equivalent degree of well-being support as would be provided to officers of a local authority in similar circumstances. I'm not suggesting that the Ombudsman be the direct provider of such well-being facilities, but there are arrangements available for well known in HR circles, and that is something I think it is worthy of being explored.
Thank you, Jonathan. I think the mood seems to be that we would like you, Clive, to explore this possible support that can be offered, to explore that further.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. I'll certainly do that. And as I said, I'll do that via the Monitoring Officers Group at our next meeting, which will be in December.
Thank you. Clive, if you want to continue.
Thank you, Chair. Members will see from Section D of the report that there are no dispensations to be considered today. The Ombudsman's our findings report, again, there's a link to that. Members are able to go into that link, hopefully, and use it to find information about cases which has happened within Wales. And in Section F of the report, again, there's a link to decisions of the Adjudicational Panel for Wales, and again, that may be of interest to members. Members, going on to the National Forum meeting, which took place on the 24th of June, members will see a minute of that meeting, which is set out on page 13 of the agenda, or page 15 of the PDF. The meeting was attended by Claire. Claire has not provided an oral response to that, because the meeting took place after our last standards meeting. But Carol assures me that Claire has seen the minutes and has considered them to be an accurate reflection of what was said. If members go to page 13 of the agenda, you'll see that the meeting had a presentation from Judge Claire Sharp, who was the outgoing president of the Adjudication Panel for Wales, and her address took into account the factors involved in considering whether or not to allow applicants to appeal against decisions made by standards committees throughout local authorities in Wales. And I found the discussion quite helpful myself, so that's really helpful for me. Then members will see that there was a presentation by Paul Egan, who is the Deputy Chief Executive for One Voice Wales, and information was given as to how One Voice Wales can support town and community councils, and the resources and support that were available to those councils. There was also an indication of the training that could be offered to town and community councils when dealing dealing with code of conduct members, code of conduct matters. Chair, the meeting concluded with an address from the Public Service Ombudsman for Welsh, Michelle Morris, you members will see that the number of cases, not necessarily code of conduct matters, but there were 328 code complaints throughout Wales during 23-24. And they referred 21 of those cases to standards committees, which was up 43% on the previous referrals in the previous year. Chair, I'm not sure if there was anything else in the meeting which members would like to discuss, but the dates for the next meetings are the 27th of January 25 and the 23rd of June 25.
Okay, thank you, Clive. Does anybody want to comment upon those minutes of the National Forum? No? Okay, move on. Clive?
Thank you, Chair. Members are then drawn to Section 8 of H of my report, which is a reference to the independent review of investigations by the Public Service Ombudsman into code of conduct complaints. Members will see from my report that in March of last year, issues were rightly drawn to the attention of the Ombudsman with regard to social media posting by one of the senior investigating officers within her team. And there was suggestions that there was political bias of that individual as shown in the social media posting, and that there was a concern that might be reflected in the Ombudsman's investigations. So the Ombudsman arranged for a team of 3 to undertake an independent investigation headed by Dr. Melissa McCulloch. Dr. McCulloch is the Standards Commissioner for Northern Ireland, so well versed in these issues. At pages 19 onwards of the bundle today, members will see the outcome of that independent investigation. Chair, insofar as this committee is concerned, I think it's fair to say that an appropriate summary is set out on page 20, and I just quote, the review found the PSO's code of conduct processes and delegations to be appropriate, fair and impartial and free from political bias. In relation to the cases reviewed, the review found no evidence of politically biased decision making. The cases reviewed were thoroughly analysed and the decision making was well reasoned, consistent, sound and fully documented for each case reviewed. The checks and balances within the process were apparent, providing further assurance of quality, non-biased decision making. The review found the processes were impeccably followed by the investigating officers, including FCTM. The review found no evidence that FCTM had expressed her personal views on political matters akin to her social media postings in the office or inappropriately influenced other members. The findings of this review point towards excellence in complete assessment and processes, and this should provide much assurance to the public that they can trust and have confidence in the work of the Ombudsman's Office and its code team. Chair, that's a summary of the findings of the review. There were some recommendations which the review put in place, and those can be found on big page 44 of the bundle, or which is PDF page 46. And there are also some lessons learned, which are on page 46 of the bundle or on page 48 of the PDF. Members, I'm not going to go through those recommendations as they are focused primarily on processes within the Ombudsman's Office themselves. But I thought it important to bring this report to this committee so that this committee is aware of the outcome of that independent investigation.
Thanks very much, Clive. Does anybody, Councillor Liz?
Yeah, I'm not on mute. Thank you, Chair. I just picked up on the point on, I think it's page 44 of the PDF. It's the recommendations, and one is to revert to the previous process, to consider reverting to previous process of informing members if a complaint is made against them. And I thought that was actually a good idea. I really wouldn't like to think that someone had made a report about me and I didn't know that that was being considered in terms of whether or not, any action should be taken.
Chair, we are awaiting the formal response of the Ombudsman to those recommendations, although I understand informally that this is something that certainly will be considered by them, and they even considering going out to members to ask councillors throughout Wales if that's an accommodation which should be met.
Thank you, Councillor Ian.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have some quite serious concerns about this review or report. I had concerns about some of the methods that the Ombudsman were carrying out in terms of their methods of investigation. And I know I'm not the only one who experienced this, but we were refused access to Melissa McCulloch's contact details so that we could make sure that she was aware of these concerns. I'm also aware that their lead investigator, when she had to resign for making social media comments, that at least 2 complaints were made about another county councillor for it making the exact same comments in videos on social media, and the Ombudsman decided not to investigate those comments. Now, it transpires that they suggested that only 1 complaint was ever made, and I know there was 2. So ultimately, I'm lacking confidence that this investigation has been thorough due to those concerns, really, particularly the fact that I'm not the only person who were unable to sort of contact the lead investigator about this to raise these issues. I don't know where we go from there, Clive, whether that just has to be forgotten about or what.
Councillor Ian, all I can suggest you do is that you put your concerns in writing to the Ombudsman, and who no doubt will address them. And I think that's the appropriate way to do it.
I have done that, Clive. They classed it as a freedom of information request and told me that they didn't have the information I was looking for. Happy to send you the details if you like.
Perhaps it was just the way that you worded it, Councillor Ian.
I'll send you what I send and have a look at it. I'd like your thoughts. Okay, thank you.
Yes, it is a matter for the Ombudsman at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Chair.
Okay, anybody else want to make any observations? No? Okay, back to you, Brian.
Chair, and then the final matter, which is on my report, is the dates for the next meetings. Members will see that the next meeting is on the 12th of February, followed by an annual meeting with group leaders on the 9th, and then further meetings on the 8th of June and the 13th of October. And hopefully those dates, Carol, will have already been put in members' diaries, I hope.
Yes, they are, Clive.
Can I just confirm the 13th of October, because that's a Monday, and all the others are on a Wednesday?
It's just trying to fit it in the diary with all other meetings.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Williams?
Could I just ask that Clive repeats that just a little more slowly, so that maybe those of us who are in a position to check diary can just do so now while the whole matter's fresh, and in case any issues arise, because I realise we're close to the end of this meeting, but it would be helpful if you could just run us through a couple of those dates a little bit more clearly.
Apologies, Councillor William. The first meeting is on the 12th of February.
12th of February, and is that 2 till 4?
Yes.
Yeah, fine, excellent.
The next is the 9th of April, and that's the annual meeting with group leaders.
Fantastic. So that goes in from excellent. The second one that you just referred to in April was?
The 9th of April.
9th of April. Okay, excellent. Again, 2 till 4.
2 till 4.
Fantastic. Thank you.
The third one is the 18th of June.
Good. 18th of June. Same terms. Yeah.
And then the final meeting is on the 13th of October.
Fantastic. The 13th of October.
That's correct.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed.
Anything more from you, Brian?
No, thank you, Chair. The next item on the agenda is the report from Claire with regard to her observation of the council meeting held on the 11th of July. Members will see Claire's report on this commencing at page 9 of the agenda pack.
Right, anybody wish to make any observations? No. Probably you can go straight to the conclusions. Jonathan, yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to record for the benefit of the minute my thank to Carol, who was able to cover this meeting with it was allocated to me, but fortunately she was attending in any event, and I will work harder to make sure I attend a meeting in the next municipal year. I just have a question for Clive. Carol presumes a detailed training programme is available for the role of Chair of Council in respect of their chairing of full council meetings. Are you able to comment on that?
We have a general training session on how to chair council meetings, including committee meetings, all the same hours. So we do the training of all chairs at the same time, Jonathan. Not a specific one for the chair, but for the whole of all chairs within the council.
I very much welcome that, because swift and effective intervention by the chair can often be the most effective remedy in calming heated the risk of untoward phrases being used, which could lead to complaints.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You'll see on Claire's report that asking about can translation services be available for people observing, and it's difficult to put anything specific in place for people. However, they can attend online and hear it in Welsh or the translation. So that is a way around it.
The difficulty is members will be aware that they have the facility to put headphones on and connect to the Congress system and get translation from that. We don't have that facility for the public gallery, and at this time, I don't think there's any local council or county council that could afford the money to do that, particularly in view of the very few members of the public that attend council meetings. Those who review meetings are mostly online, and they can get the translation into English from Welsh.
Okay. Did mention about the use of mobile phones. Again, discuss that with Clive. There's a limited amount that we can actually do about that, because they may actually be working. We don't know. Although it doesn't necessarily, members of the public might think otherwise.
Chair, it's very difficult to stop members or anybody using mobile phones, and indeed some members use their mobile phones instead of their laptops, for instance. I know some members that do that, so it is very difficult. And I'm afraid to say it's not in the purview of this committee to prevent members doing it anyway. So, but we fully understand Claire's comments, but I'm afraid to say all we can do is ask for the use of mobile phones to be moderated.
Okay.
Chair, I think it's fair to say that the most moderating effect on the use of phones is the lack of effective functional reception, and the fact that WhatsApp is particularly unreliable in the vicinity of the chamber, at least in the experience of myself and some other colleagues. So I think the monitoring officer is giving us sound advice.
That's fine, thank you. And obviously that's just a thing for the chair to remind people about using the microphones and cameras that are available for councillors at big meetings. Right, anything else anybody wants to mention? Otherwise, we can actually draw this to a conclusion. 1 minute over.
Chair, can I thank you and your colleagues for bearing with us. We shouldn't have rushed through it perhaps quite as quickly as we did, but in view of the fact that we have another meeting with group leaders which has already commenced, I know that one group leader is already there. Can I thank you everybody for their attendance today and ask them to leave this meeting and to rejoin the separate meeting with group leaders.
Yeah, and I'd like to
thank you,
add
Chair.
my thanks to everybody for their contributions
Clive.
to attending the meeting.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
Bye-bye.